Okay. All right. Welcome again, everybody. Take a comfortable upright seat and bring your left palm open and take your right hand, back of the hand, to the left palm and just bring your hands down into your lap. This is a mudra for cultivating equanimity, Pali Mudra. Feel free to close your eyes. I think equanimity is one of the most challenging qualities to uncover, shall we say, because I always have this sense that at the center of our being, we already have equanimity. We already are balanced. And yet the challenges that life brings us or offers us, we can often feel pulled away from our center. And so in the practice of experiencing everything just as it's coming without getting too riled up or pulled away is very fruitful practice, not easy. So moment to moment, as each moment comes, we allow it to unfold. Feel into your breath. Feel the flow of the breath as it moves on its own this morning. The underlying sense of ground of being here, where there's nothing that we have to fix or change. The spacious, open ground of being, always present. And when the waves of life get a little stronger, we just bring our practices back into focus, moment to moment. Let's fold your hands together to honor yourself and each other, and bow your head. Okay, and open your eyes. All right, so we're going to start today onto your back. And what I'd like you to do, okay, is take a folded blanket, and it can just be like a square is fine. Place it to the side of your mat, and as you then lie down on your back, you'll place your feet on the floor and then slide your folded blanket underneath your pelvis. Sort of like we would with a block, but we're using something a little softer today. So making sure that it's right, the edge is right at the top of the waistband, so not on your low back spine. So kind of top of the pelvis there. And then with your feet on the ground, just place your hands over the front of the lower ribs. And then sensing into your shoulders, your upper back, just feeling how the upper back, shoulders, arms, head make contact with the ground. So we're in a very, very modified inversion here. An inversion is defined as any time the heart is a little higher than the head. So let's take slow breaths now into your space under your hands. And see if you can visualize how the rib cage is like a cylinder from around the front to the back, And as you're breathing, you can touch all sides of the cylinder. So even feeling around the back of the ribs, and then exhaling, just let the breath come out by itself. No need to push the breath out. Feel the ribs opening up with each inhale. And perhaps you can even now take your fingertips just to your collarbones. And as you're breathing into this cylindrical space of you, notice how as you breathe in, the collarbones widen a little out to the sides. And then they just soften and return back in. So try a couple more breaths like that. Relaxing into your jaw, neck, top of the shoulders. Right. And then after your next exhale, bring your left knee in, just clasp around the back of the knee and slide the right leg all the way straight or almost straight, whatever bend in the knee that you need is fine here. And breathing into your cylindrical space of the ribs as your right leg lengthens away. Right heel is down on the floor. And then bring your feet back to the ground. Bring your right knee in, clasp around the back of the right knee, and then slowly slide the left heel away. Once you find a comfortable position there, come back to your breathing around the rib cage. Visualize the ribs floating wide on the inhale and floating back in on the exhale. Great. And then bring both feet back to the ground. Now let's bring both knees in and take the legs up towards the sky. You can keep a bend in your knees here. I'm just holding the back of my thighs. If you don't need to hold the back of your thighs, you can have your arms down along the floor. Now with your legs up in the air like this, breathe into the cylinder of your rib cage. Great. And then bend the knees in, bring the feet back to the floor. Lift your hips up, slide your blanket out from underneath you. And then roll to one side. Now we're going to just use the blanket as it is here. As we lie on your stomach, take the blanket under the front of your torso so that your pubic bone is off the blanket edge towards the floor. So the upper, the abdomen, ribs, maybe a little bit of your chest will be on the blanket, but your pubic bone here is down on the ground. So we've created a little bit of length in the lumbar spine. Let's bring your forehead to rest on your palms or the back of your hands. And now while we're here, we'll just breathe into the cylinder of the ribs again. Maybe you can sense more of the back now. As you're breathing, your abdomen fills with breath, which then expands into the back. And so you're exhaling again. Let's take one more breath like this. Okay, and then keeping your head down, just tuck your toes of the right foot under a little bit so the tips of the toes touch the floor. And then straighten the right knee. See if you can lift the right foot toes off the ground without engaging the low back muscles too much. So you might feel this just in the right bum. And then glide your right foot side to side, keeping the toes maybe just hovering from the floor here. Breathing into your ribs. And then pause with the lift, and then bring the top of the foot back to the floor. And then tuck the left toes, coming to the tips of the toes on the floor. Raise the left knee, and then slide the left leg side to side. Hopefully you're feeling this right along the lower glutes, while the front of the thighs are getting a little length. And then pause in the middle, and then point the foot, top of the foot down. Now take your hands off your mat to the side and slowly curl up into a little back bend cobra. Don't have to come up too far, but you've got a little support with the blanket there. Throat back, head back, and then lower yourself down. And then one more time, keep the chin a little tucked in as you start to come up, and then lift the chin slightly. So you're coming up into a nice back bend through the whole spine, and then release yourself back down. Now bring your hands in a little closer and press yourself up into table position. So if you need your knee support in table, just take your your blanket there, place it under your knees and hands to the ground. Round your tail down, rounding the low back up into cat. And feel how the front of the body contracts a little bit there. And then move into cow. So tailbone floats up, mid upper back melt. And then again, cat pose, and feel the contraction through the front and the opening through the back. And then just the opposite here as we come into cow, we're contracting the back and opening the front. Let's do one more with your breath. Great. And then grab your blocks if you have them handy in your hands here. We're going to come into lunge, left foot forward into a lunge, right knee on your blanket. Blocks on either side of your front foot. Now tuck your back toes under and straighten the back knee. So we're in a nice long lunge here. Now the top of this right thigh here, we want to lift it up a little away from the ground. So your bum will lift up, and that helps take the right thigh back deeper into the back of the hip socket. Now, without locking your knee, can you sit a little bit lower, but still having that sense of the right thigh staying buoyant, right? So sitting into the front hip a little bit. All right, set the back knee to the floor. Now we're going to slowly shift back, straighten the front leg a little more. Runner's stretch. Walk your blocks back so they're closer to your shoulders. So your spine is nice and happy and long. Press the left heel down into the floor. Have as much bend in the knee as you need. And then plant the foot, come forward into your lunge again. Bring the pelvis forward of the back knee and then straighten the leg without locking the knee. Lift the bum a little bit. And then sit into your hips more. Bring the right knee down and shift back any amount. Hamstrings aren't very giving in the morning. So a bend in the knee can help create a better stretch, say, through the whole back of the leg. All right, let's switch sides however you like. Bring the right foot forward, blocks on either side of your front foot, and then lunge forward so you have your hips forward of your back knee, tuck your toes under and straighten back knee. Now again, let's lift the bum up, visualizing the top of the left thigh going back towards the back of the hip, and then sitting a little deeper into your lunge here. And then bring the back knee to the ground, runner stretch, pulling the pelvis back. Pressing the right heel down, just again, find the bend in the knee gives a little bit of release to the hamstrings so your spine can feel a little bit more in its natural curves, see? All right, let's do that again. So shift forward, plant the front foot, then lift the back leg, keep the left knee a bit soft, lift the top of the thigh or pelvis lifts, and then sitting into the front hip. Come back to your cylindrical breathing here. Bring the back knee back to the ground and pull your hips back. Bring your blocks back with you if you need. And one more breath here. Okay, come back to lunge so you can bring your front foot back. Now we're going to take your blocks, flatten to the flattest level, about shoulder width distance, and rest your forearms down on the blocks so that your thumbs are pointing up towards the sky. Right. So being here now, look down between your forearms, relax your abdomen, but press through your forearms a little bit to fill out your upper back. Not so you get super rounded or tight in the front, but just so that you're not sinking, melting through the upper back here. So your shoulders are nice and strong. Look down the front of the body. Take a nice breath in. And then extend your right leg back. See if you start to shift to the left when you did that. So if you do, just keep your right toes on the ground the whole way. If you're stable here and you feel comfortable, you can raise your right leg up, but without shifting to the left here. And see if you can keep the pressing through the arms. It's a nice stable spine. Now breathe into your rib cage cylinder. Back of the neck is long. Now, even as you bring the right knee back to the blanket, look down the front of the body. Make sure you don't shift to the left. Okay, so now we're going to do that on the other side. So look down the front of the body, take a breath in, and then slowly lift the left knee up. See if your shifting to the right starts to happen. So we're going real slow here, building core connection. Press through your forearms, keeping the legs straight, maybe lifting it away from the ground if it's available. But you didn't shift to the right, hopefully. Let's take a breath here. And then slowly return the knee without shifting to the right. All right, excellent. Then take your blocks, your hands to the blocks, push them forward as you move back into puppy. Keep a little buoyancy through the chest here. So we're reaching the arms, lengthening out through the sides of the torso. Breathing through the rib cage. And then take your hands away from the blocks. Come all the way upright. Tall kneel here. Take your right leg out to the side. Left arm up, side bend down the right leg. And you can keep your left hand at the shoulder or at the, even by the ear or up overhead. Stay here and feel your breath around the left side body. Now, if you were to just bow from the heart a little bit here, you may feel the stretch go toward the left side of the back body, just a little bow there. And then come back to the middle and maybe even back bend a little bit. So you're releasing through the left front side of the body there. All right, and then come back up and just bring your knee back in. Pause a moment. Notice if there's any change in between the right and the left side. My left side feels a little more open. All right, so let's do gate pose with the left leg out to the left. And then the right arm, hand to the head, shoulder or arm over the ear. Very light weight on the left arm. Reaching down through the right knee. Now bow at the heart a little bit. Give yourself perhaps a different area of the back to stretch. And then come upright and maybe back bend a little bit. Stay with your breath back into the middle. And then slowly come back upright. Bring your leg in. One more time, we're going to fold our blanket so it's under the torso as you lie on your stomach with the pubic bone off the edge towards the floor. Make a pillow with your hands. Lift the right leg and curl the toes under. Now, instead of side to side, if you're able to get a little floating of your right foot, let's make a figure eight, a sideways figure eight. Mine sort of got some jagged edges in my figure eight here. It's a lot easier to do this with your foot pointed. So having the toes tucked creates a different engagement of the bum muscles. Go ahead and relax your right foot. You can point it. Now reflex slightly, the left foot, toes on the floor, tiptoes, and then see if you can do figure eight to the side. This is nice work for your hip flexors and psoas to lengthen them out and to strengthen the back side of those muscles. So little figure eight or whatever you can do. Nothing in your back firing too much. All right, and then go ahead and point the left foot in. Take a break. Take your hands off the mat out to the side. And again, slowly unfurl into cobra. Coming up. So the bum muscles are engaging a little bit, but more naturally than you having to squeeze them. And then coming down. Let's do two more of those. Tops of the feet down now. Coming up. Press into your hands, shoulders back. Lower down one more time. Try not to just lead with the head. So coming up nice and slow, elongating through the front. Contracting the back and come all the way back down. All right, let's roll over onto your back again. Take your folded blanket one more time and we're going to slide it under your pelvis like we started. And so we come back into the mini inversion here and bridge. Adjust your blanket so it's right at the top of the pelvis there. And then bring your hands to your lower ribs again. Now check in with the breathing around the whole rib cage, front, sides, and back. We don't have the tummy on the floor anymore, so it can be harder to feel the back, but just doing the best you can. And then bring the left knee in, clasp around the back of the left knee. Now, if you like here, you can straighten the left leg a little more, holding the belly of the hamstring and then sliding the right leg out and away from you with the heel on the floor. Relaxing the shoulders. What I like about the rib cage breathing is it can help tap us into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our calm, peace, rest, digest. So if you are having a day or a moment in a day, you can just come back to the breath there like that. It's just a tool to help you navigate life. And then bring your feet in again, and then we'll take your right knee in, clasp around the back of the right thigh, and stretch the leg, if you want, up towards the sky, and then slide the left leg out and away. Exploring your breath. And then bring both feet back to the ground. Lift your hips up, take your blanket aside. Take your knees and drop them off to the left. Now, if you like, maybe you want to cross the right leg over the left leg to do that twist legs to the left. I kind of like that one. So a little twist through the lower body. And then coming up, and if you're crossing, you'll switch your left leg over your right, and then take knees to the right. And coming back up, and then stretch your legs out. Take a nice full stretch through your arms, down through your feet. And then just come back into stillness, rest. Rest your attention to your breath. Rest your attention to your center, to the place of equanimity that's always present. Enjoying a nice breath now as you stretch again through your arms and your legs. Taking your time, making your way back into sitting once again. I love seeing everybody just appear. Fold your hands in front of your heart. May all beings everywhere in this moment feel that moment of equanimity in their lives. We can share our hearts to the world with one Om. Take a nice breath in. Om. Thank you all. Namaste.